thanks a million for taking time out to chat to me. It's a privilege to talk to you again. You've Sam is close behind you, but you've been on the show more times than anyone. So I think he's coming on like next week. So you still have it hanging over him that you're if that's, I don't know if that's worth bragging about, but you're the most frequent guest. So there's a shit ton of stuff to talk about since the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
So originally I was like, oh, I'll go back and talk about, like, say, from Rogue up. But then I was like, no, like, we'll start most recent and work our way backwards and then work our way forwards again. So quarterfinals just over. Like, are they official? Are the scores official? They are official now, aren't they?
No, I don't think they're official yet, but I've got all 5 video reviews. So, like, I think, like, my results.
So yours is, you can only move up, basically.
Well,
unless,
yeah.
like,
I would presume Gabby's, and I would presume like the top 5 or maybe 10 is all kind of official. I would presume.
Yeah. So second in Europe, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't expect that at all. I didn't have a good weekend at all.
No, why? What went wrong, or what do you think went wrong?
He kind of had to deload me quite quickly on Monday. I couldn't actually lift 50 kilos off the floor on Monday, so we kind of had to like come down really, really quick and just let my just everything recover. I tweaked my back, so my body just kind of. Yeah, I couldn't lift anything off the floor Monday in training. Like, I was screeching, panicking. So yeah, I rang Joyce. It was like, ask me, I'm done. I was like, I'm not competing this weekend. And he flew over on Thursday. My physio came and seen me Monday night at the house. We literally dropped training down to, like, I think I did 90 minutes on Tuesday. I did about 45 minutes on Wednesday. And then I was actually able to compete on Thursday. But yeah, just the drop in intensity and volume. I think my body just went into recovery, and I competed like literally like a Ford car with 4 flat tires and a clutch is the only thing I could describe it. So I
still drives.
Yeah, I was not on form, but yeah, we got through it, and I'm actually really proud of what I came through this week. So yeah, on Monday I didn't think I was doing quarterfinals.
At what point did you think, okay, yeah, no, like on Thursday, were you like, yeah, no, I feel good, or were you like, let's just get through it and see what happens?
Yeah, like, not really. On Thursday, obviously I picked Joycey up at the airport at 10 o'clock, and we came back to the house here. Mickey came down to the house about 11, and we started just doing like our movement stuff. And I was like to Joyce, I was like, there's no way I'm doing these max lifts today, like, or whatever the lifts was. Obviously, we got like the workouts were kind of leaked, but
yeah,
I didn't know at that point. But I was like, there's no way I can do these lifts tonight. And he was like, look, I was like, we'll just warm up and see whatever happens. And obviously, whenever we did do the workouts, like, warmed up and PB'd my power. I wasn't confident to squat. PB'd my power clean though. Had equal PB'd my bench and PB'd my overhead squat. So yeah. So for like the max lifts, obviously, like, my body had, was kind of fully recovered, so I was able to hit good lifts. But in terms of like the WODs, like, I had no intensity. I think anyone that was in boundary on Thursday night, I thought I was about to die doing the rope climb workout. I think Jenny, Mickey's wife especially, she was like, I've never heard anything like that in my life. My chest and lungs, like, you would swear I took an asthma attack in the middle of the workout. I've never experienced like competing with a body that was just not willing to perform. So yeah, it was a weird experience now for me.
And did something happen in the Open, or is this in training after the Open that you tweaked something, or what happened?
It was the Wednesday before the quarterfinals started. I literally just, like, we were training as normal. I felt great, and then we had like a small, like, ascending deadlift workout with box jumps and ski erg. We were actually doing it in boundary on the Wednesday, and I was like, I got to like 125, and I went to pull it, and I was like, something doesn't feel right here, and I stopped at like the 125, and I'd done like 3 sets before that. It was 5 sets in total, But I was able to still box jump and ski. So I've just finished the session just with box jumps and ski. And didn't really think much of it. And then my right glute went into spasm on the Thursday, and it never really settled. But I was able to do everything but pull from the floor, so I didn't really panic until Monday, when I literally couldn't pull anything from the floor. But yeah, we did enough.
But like, yeah, we did enough. Yeah, like 10th worldwide, just the bare minimum. Um, when that happens, though, are you like, do you try and compartmentalize? Like, do you try and think, okay, don't panic, like we'll see what it's like tomorrow, and then okay, don't panic, we'll see what it's like tomorrow, and so on? Or do you like have a full? Are you like pacing the house and freaking out, or do you kind of kick it down the can, kick the can down the road to say, okay, Thursday is my deadline, kind of thing?
Yeah, Thursday was the deadline, but on Monday I did freak out a little bit. I was in tears on Monday. Luckily, David's the only person that sees that side. I don't really show that emotion to many people. But I let that emotion out to David. I did ring Joycey and say, like, I'm pretty panicking here. Like, I need you to fly over. And then I rang my physio as well, and she came and worked on me Monday night. I seen her Tuesday. I didn't see her Wednesday, and then I seen her Thursday as well before we did the workouts. Joycey did some movement stuff with me on Thursday morning when he arrived. So I was confident whenever he was there that would be able to get through the weekend.
Yeah. It
So
must be it must be fucking terrifying though, to be like you say, to be compete like it must feel sort of like out of body to be not feel the way you normally feel when you're doing things, and then
yeah,
not knowing if it's anywhere close to where you should be, or what, like if it's what's required, if it's too much, if it's not enough. Like, it's hard, like.
yeah, it's weird because like I felt so good for so long, and I haven't had a back tweak from, I would say, probably 2017, 2018 was the last time I've tweaked my back. So it was so strange, for like there was no warning. It was literally just like my body just didn't want to lift the 125 bar last week, but it wasn't like I hurt it. It's just like, don't lift this bar because it doesn't feel right. And then
Yeah.
my into spasm. So yeah, it was quite strange, but really happy that no long, like, any ongoing stuff.
Yeah, like thank fuck you're in tune enough with your body to be like, no, that doesn't feel right, and not to be like, no, fuck it, and then hurt it like mid deadlift, or you know what I mean? Like, it could have been so much worse, really.
Big time, yeah. I just like literally I went to set up for the 125 and I was like, nope. And thankfully I stopped there because obviously I went on and done more damage. But now, like, after I had that like deload pre quarterfinals, like, I'm totally recovered, fine, and ready to go. No, nothing sore at all now. So it was obviously just something really small.
Who did you like have? Did you have, say, at quarterfinals? I know you have kind of a pick crew
Yeah.
that like you use for all your competitions and stuff. Like, did you tell everyone? Did you tell no one? Did you tell like a select few? Did you? Because I know sometimes people keep stuff like that themselves because they don't want to give anyone else an edge, but also they don't want other people to freak them out by being like, "Oh, you okay?" Like every 5 minutes.
Yeah, like I just told like my normal crew. Like I just said, like, yeah, the people I trust,
Yeah.
knew, they all knew what was going on. Outside of that, no one else really matters.
So then, if you finish second in Europe and like whatever, tied for 10th worldwide in quarterfinals, and that's with like being, I suppose, unusually nervous for you, and unusually, like maybe feeling underprepared, or under revved up, I suppose, and like not sure. Does that like fill you with confidence for the rest of the year, that if that's you on a quarter tank, like what can I do later on in the season? Or like, does it change anything? Is it irrelevant now that it's over? Do you just forget everything and move on to the next thing, or how does that work?
Yeah, you kind of forget everything and move on to the next stage. But it definitely does give you confidence that your bottom level is still fairly
Quite
good.
high.
Definitely, it does give you confidence. I think probably like me 2 years ago with something like that going on, I probably would have finished 50th. But now just having like that, not like, I just think like we've built just so much volume over the years that you just still have that quite good bottom level.
What are your feelings or thoughts about Sam's chances? She's in like 66th, I think. Like, have you looked at who's ahead of her, or is she hopeful, or has she kind of said no, it's not going to happen? Or
Obviously, like anything can happen. I know there's like 3 people that I personally know are going team and
yeah,
1 master, so that's 4. Other than that, I don't know anyone else. But there could be more people. But she's already changed her flights and she's staying here for quarterfinals. So she's doing quarterfinals with all my guys. So
okay.
yeah, she's gonna be doing masters. So she flies in here on Monday and she's here. We're here for a week here, week in Club La Santa on camp, and then a week leading into her quarterfinals. So me, her, and Mickey are essentially on camp now for the next 3 weeks.
Where was the second place you said? Club La what?
Club La Santa in Lanzarote. So it's a big, massive like training facilities, has CrossFit gym, swim pools, outdoor pools, cycling.
And is that like a red pill thing, or just the 3 of you going off?
It's the 3 of us. We just contacted Club La Santa and we're like, come out. And they were like, no problem. So I take a week in the sun.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, David's coming out. He's getting 4 days over there. I think we're sneaking Jenny in as well for a few days. So yeah, it'll be a nice week.
Yeah, that's good. When you look, so like when you look at the leaderboard and you see, so I know, like, do you pay attention to the leaderboard at all, or do you just look at where you are and then you're like, oh fuck, I don't give a shit about anything else?
Yeah, I just kind of look at where I am. I looked at where Sam was, and I looked at where Mickey was, and I'd say that didn't really care.
Yeah. Would you ever look at, like, say, Tia and be like, fuck, there's a big gap between second and first? And then it's still like, is she just like irrelevant to conversations about CrossFit because you're relying on, say, all the athletes have to do their best and then not hope that something goes wrong for her, but hope that, like, you know, she has an off event, or that, you know, a few people catch her out in different events or stuff? Like, do you just kind of forget about that side of things?
Yeah, like at this stage, until after semifinals, whichever semifinals it may be, like I'm just focused on Europe and qualifying inside the top 5. Obviously once hopefully we get a ticket obviously to the games this year, then obviously you start setting your target a wee bit higher. But for now, like all I'm doing is just being focused on the task ahead of me, and that's just being top 5 in either May or June, whichever one I get.
Do you care which semi-final you go to? Have you a preference?
I personally want to go to Lowlands.
Okay. Why is that?
I won Lowlands last year and I want to go back and win it again.
In person, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Okay. I didn't know you had an injury, and one of the first things I was going to talk about was, this seems to have been like your best training year. From the outside looking in, like, you seem to have been at your happiest. You seem to have been enjoying it the most. And that's not to, like, be dismissive of anyone else you've ever trained with or anywhere else you've ever trained, but just you and Mickey working together seems to have really, like, paid off for both of you.
Yeah, definitely. Like I kind of, after Rogue, I had like such a good train. So like I had obviously like I don't know if we spoke about it, but obviously I got COVID straight after the games. I had a shit time, like the whole of August, the whole of September. I got into my groove 2 weeks before Rogue, and I was in America with Sam and all her crew, and I had a great 2 weeks. So basically, I had 2 weeks prep in the Rogue. Finished 9th, was absolutely buzzing because I expected to come last, with basically 2 weeks training. Like I was in bed essentially the whole of August. And then after Rogue, I come home and had like the biggest downer. I was like, this is shit. I can't do another year training by myself. And I think just having COVID and having everything kind of taught me, like, fucking life is way too short to just do this journey alone. And I went up to, I actually rang Joyce and I was like, Joyce, I'm going to ask you quite a awkward question, but would you mind if I asked Mickey to be my training partner and for you to coach him? So
because he was with Deca, wasn't he?
yeah. So he was with, and like Michelle is, but the reason was we would have a coach closer to home.
Yeah.
And I just asked Joyce. Joyce says, "Fuck it, if it helps you, mate, let's go." And it turns out he absolutely loves Mickey and is 100% in his corner as well. And then once I got the go ahead from Joyce, I went up and I asked Mickey, and I was like, "Look, don't answer this question right now. Go home and have a think about it. But do you want to be my full-time training partner? We do the same program. We train every day together, and we push towards the same goals." And like that night, he messaged me and he was like, "I'm all in," and I was like, "Boom, let's go."
Yeah. Like Mickey's pretty fit, but I still imagine the phrase "we'll do the same program" probably shook him a bit to his core. Where he's like, "Oh fuck!" It's like, yeah, okay, right, fine. He he coaches himself. He runs a gym, owns a gym. You have Daily Grind, which is just like absolutely fucking exploded from what I've seen. It's sprawled, and you've athletes all over the place, like at really high level as well. He has opened like a second location with
Yep.
EST or EST or
Yep. EST.
They opened a second location, and I know he has Emmett helping him and stuff as well. Like they're working together, but like, how do you like? Do you just, when you get together, do you just forget about Daily Grind and EST and just like it must be difficult to compartmentalize? Okay, we're here to train and only train and like have a bit of crack, whatever. But like, and then we leave training, and then it's like all the pressures of running a business and all that kind of stuff. Like, is it difficult to kind of shelve things away and just focus on training?
And no, like for me, like I do all my like daily grind stuff on like a Sunday, on my rest day. So like I'll do my conditioning in the morning, I'll swim in the morning, and then from like 1 o'clock onwards, that's me. Like I have to work until the work's done. And then obviously like I'll be texting clients and stuff during the week. But I'll try to stay off the computer. Obviously I can look at Fitter and stuff like on my phone. But I try to stay off the computer Monday to Saturday, and then I'll chip in on a Saturday, read feedback, and then do programming on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I only work like PT wise. I have got like my 5 p.m. girls and my 5:45 boys on a Monday and a Wednesday. So 90 minutes on a Monday, 90 minutes on a Wednesday. And apart from that, I don't do anything else but train. And for Mickey, whenever we first started training together, like he was working in the mornings, he was working midday, and he was working evenings. And now he's got a like fantastic schedule. He's free 9 till 5, and
Wow.
then he just does a few hours in the evening. So I just think like I learned from Sam, like Briggs, like if you want to be the best, you had to focus, knuckle down, and train, recover. And I think like Mickey over this last kind of more so like 6 weeks has really realized like I had to go for a nap here during the day if I want to do a second session at full intensity. And so yeah, he's really cut down his hours. He's still working, like, and obviously he's got a kid on the way, he's got a wife, he's got 2 dogs and 2 businesses. So like he is flat out, but he definitely has reduced his hours, and like minus a penalty, like he still finished 16th in Europe. So that's his best ever performance to date. So the proof's definitely showing.
Yeah, I assume Jesse was probably pretty happy when he saw the leaderboard at the end. He was like, "This worked out pretty well for me." It's like taking him on. Yeah, yeah. Is like, because I haven't actually I've like, messaged Mickey, but I haven't actually spoken to him, so I could be totally wrong. But he seems like he's quite like, okay. He seems like he's a bit wild, but he also seems like he's quite considered. Like he seems like he's a good coach. Like he seems like he's quite considered with body mechanics and how stuff works and that kind of, like, has that added any kind of element, you working with him and him working with you side by side? Like, are you giving each other that kind of feedback, or are you literally like, you should have pushed harder there because I pushed hard, or vice versa? Is it just like kind of basic feedback you give each other and then Jousty handles everything else? Or are you saying like, oh, about 2 years ago I started doing this and it really helped me with that movement, maybe you could do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so Jousty sorts our movement mechanics out. So like each time he's over, he'll take each of us for our own personal session. So like Mickey will have his personal session to do each day, and I'll have my personal session to do each day. So obviously he just had the shoulder surgery, so he's working on specifics with that. With me, I did my ankle at Wadapalooza, so we were working on just things with that because it was actually worse than we thought it was. So we were working on getting that strengthened back up. So we have our one-to-one like movement mechanic session, and then the bulk of the training is together, like our conditioning, our gymnastics and stuff like that. Even though he doesn't like to scale the meters or whatever on Cal's, but that's a daily discipline.
It's I assume it's preference free, or well, I mean, you can't really change your genders, I suppose, but I assume it's preference for you both, that it's like you training with a male and for him training with a female, that it's less like head to head, I suppose.
Yeah, like we don't like, we're not competing like we are.
Was that in your head when it was like, I need a training partner, and then were you immediately like, well, it's not going to be a woman, so what guy do I want to train with, basically?
Like if there was a female in the country that was gonna push me, like it doesn't matter male or female. It's just Mickey, I believe, he's just class. Like who doesn't like him? He's like a big German Shepherd. Like he's just a big lovable, happy person. Like so.
Yeah.
And he's good crack as well. Like for me, like the environment's everything, and those guys up at EST, like you have some laugh. So it's
I was going to say a German Shepherd is a good one because yes, they can be friendly and cuddly and everything else, but there's a kind of dangerous side there as well. Like that, you can get into trouble hanging around with Mickey, I'd say. Like,
when you had to work, they work, but when you get to play, you play. So
okay, so the Open then, did you enjoy it? Was that because obviously last year, I suppose the Open has changed over the last couple of years of like, for say people at your level, where it's just like, I'll just do a workout. I'll train as normal Thursday, Friday. I'll do a workout Friday evening. I'll train as normal Saturday. I'll take my, it's like, it hasn't really changed. It's just, it's added into your training schedule, I suppose, as a workout. So has that like, did you kind of hit a groove with that last year? Or do you feel that this year it was more like you were able to relax more? Because I know it's obviously weird when, for years the focus has been like, I need to fucking do really well in February, and now it's just kind of like, whatever, I'll just go to whatever gym I feel like going to and do it. Did you enjoy it more or less or the same as last year, or was it just different?
Like obviously last year we were in lockdown, so
of course,
stressful because you were like, can I go into the gym and do the work? But no, this year was fine. Just did the workout on a Friday, part of training. Jousty absolutely destroyed the two of us on a Tuesday beforehand. So Mickey did not perform as best he could. I was able to still push through, but we were in an absolute mess. Like there was training as normal, and then there was what we did on a Tuesday prior to the Open workouts. So I think Jousty both tested us very mentally for the 3 weeks during the Open.
On purpose, like?
I'm certain he did. He's just I'm certain he did that. Because we just sort of named it Terrible Tuesdays and Wipeout Wednesdays.
I suppose maybe later on in the season he can be like, at least it's not Tuesday of the Open. Like he could just pull that out when he can pull that pin when he really needs to. So is it difficult? Okay, maybe not the Open if you were kind of more relaxed during the Open, I suppose, but is it difficult to be a coach during quarterfinals and to compete during quarterfinals?
Not really. So like I've had there's quite a few actually. So I didn't let any of my masters do the individual quarterfinals. Anyone that was doing the masters or the teams, I was like, you pick the division you're doing and you're doing that division. And I was like, you were allowed to pick one weakness workout. So one workout you love, one workout you hate, and they could hit it on Saturday because Saturday we hit WODs anyway. So that was the rule. I was like, big warm up as if it was comp day. So the people that were doing the workouts did them as normal. And like, yeah, we just sort of talked about which ones orders they'd go through. And then any of my athletes that are progressing for the masters and the teams, I was like, you'll do one workout you hate, one workout you love, warm up like normal competition and crack on. And they weren't allowed to do the max lifts. That was the only rules I set. But no, all my athletes that did the workouts, like they sent me the results through. I was like, great. We feedbacked over the weekend. I said a couple of them, yeah, you probably should repeat that. Others just kept themselves to themselves. We chatted then post quarterfinals. I have an English girl. The goal is for next year for her to push for semifinals. I purposely left her to her own devices. We fed back on Monday and she made quite a few wrong decisions. But it was great learning experience for her. I explained to her why I did. I kind of didn't give her any feedback because I think it's a great opportunity to learn in your first year. And then next year we'll set targets and goals and have a wee bit more pressure. But I think this year was a good just opportunity to learn. So yeah, no, I don't find it too stressful. Probably the masters will be a lot more stressful, but the individual ones was fine.
Is the masters going to be more stressful because you have no distraction? Because it's just like you're just sitting, watching, waiting, coaching, as opposed to like having an hour, like focusing on yourself, and then being like, oh yeah, the athletes, then go back to yourself.
Yeah, I've got quite a few masters and teenagers in 3 weeks' time, and then now we bit more pressure. Now I'll have Briggsy here as well, so we'll try and create a nice environment and try and have like a few of them thrown down together in either Boundary and Bex's gym, Avenge, CrossFit. So yeah, we'll just create a nice like competitive environment for them all to throw down and hopefully get the best results possible.
They have a team qualified for Europe, do they, Avenge?
Yeah, but I'm not. Well, Bex is not doing it. Sure. Same rule for them all. Like you pick your division and you compete in your division.
Yeah,
I
okay.
want people burning out doing individuals, masters, and teams division just because they qualified for it.
Yeah.
You've picked your division, you go all in one.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless there's other people doing the team, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'll move on from coaching, but it's a testament to you it's a testament to you how stressful masters and teams are going to be for you, because like it is incredible for like there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of online coaches, there's a lot of programming, there's a lot there's like so much of it around, like there's an ocean of it, and I think it's a testament to your ability that you have so many people on daily grind and then so many people qualifying for elite level competitions and doing really well at competitions. I think like you should be really proud of what you're doing, because it is incredible. Like, and like even just some of the athletes that I've seen that have been training with you, like say Rebecca, like her trajectory is like say the time I went up to your house to interview you, she was there. And the differences, even just aesthetically, the differences now in her from now to then are outrageous. And her skill level has gone through the roof. And I think like it's obviously they're doing the work, but like you're guiding them through. And I just think like you should be really proud of, they should be proud of themselves, but you should be proud of like how you're helping them, because it is incredible what you're doing.
Yeah, like Bex is one of the biggest examples. I think it's because she's been doing it for so long. Like she's the OG of our, but so yeah, for her to still be improving 10 years into the sport it's just incredible. Yeah. I think and still loves it equally as much as she did in day one, which again I don't think there's too many people still have that love for it. And obviously on her affiliate and stuff last year.
But even like during lockdown, she was training so hard during lockdown when so many other people were like, fuck this. Like she was out doing handstands against her fucking Pebble Dash wall and stuff. And other people were like, no thanks, I'm just not going to do that.
She had her C2 bike in her apartment block, and she used to take the C2 bike down a couple of flights of stairs on a sunny
that's the warm up.
air conditioning outside.
Yeah, crazy.
It is awesome. Awesome.
Right, so Wadapalooza then, as we tick back through time, absolutely fucking incredible. Like, my God, that was incredible. It was so exciting. It was so like, I don't know if I've ever been as proud of an individual in sport where I was just like so fucking elated. Like I was so happy. I think it was just I just think so many people wanted it for you. And so like it just was amazing to like I think however rational or irrational it is, I was like, I feel like I have some kind of ownership in this just because we live on the same island. I'm just gonna claim that this is like something to do with everyone here. Um what was the feeling like of like when you realized like, oh fuck, like was there a moment during the weekend where you were like, I have a serious fucking shot here? Were you going into the competition feeling that? Were you going into the competition being like, let's just see what happens, we'll go for it and have a bit of crack, and then that changed over the weekend? Or were you going into it being like podium?
No, I was going into the weekend. I knew it was going to be 1, 2, or 3. I kind of thought I was going to be more towards the 3 than the 2 or the 1. But I definitely knew I had a great block of training after Rogue. So yeah, I knew it was fit.
Did you enjoy it? Like, say, when you compare, obviously Rogue is different because you were sick in the lead up to it and stuff. But say, if you compare it to other competitions you've done, like say the games or anything else, did you enjoy it? Like, does it change your enjoyment of it when you're like, okay, I could be 1, 2, or 3 here?
No, I loved it. Like it was class. I think like one of the best things was like I had Briggs in my corner,
Yeah,
like, as my coach for the weekend. And like she knows me inside out. And I think that was like a wee bit of extra motivation in my corner to you push a wee bit harder as
yeah.
well. Like obviously I push as hard as I can in every workout, but just knowing that she gave up her whole weekend to fly down and be there for me. Just obviously just give me that wee bit extra kick up the ass for each workout.
And did you feel like the limelight get a bit hotter or a bit brighter after Wadapalooza? Because obviously, like your name was kind of going around a lot of different places, and a lot of more people were talking about you. And when it came to the Open and like predictions for the season and stuff, your name was being mentioned a lot more than it had in previous years. And like, are you aware of that kind of stuff? Do you kind of put blinkers on and not think about it, or?
Unless someone tags me in it, like I don't really go and look for it or don't go see it. It's just
Hmm.
if someone says, "Oh, did you see that?" and I was like, "What?" They kind of see it, and you're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Yeah.
No, I don't really pay much attention to any of that kind of carry on.
Yeah. I think it's good though. Like, so say recently, like on Savan's podcast, I heard Brian Friend, they were going through like he really knows his shit. Like it's scary the amount of stuff he knows. But he was going through, they were flicking through the leaderboards after quarterfinals, and they flicked on to Caleb or whatever, pulled up Europe, and uh the first name Brian mentioned, I think he goes like Emma McQuaid, exactly where you'd expect her to be, and like carried on. And it's like, so it's interesting now hearing that if you feel like you weren't on full tilt, and he's like exactly where you'd expect her to be, it'd be interesting to see where he has you pegged once he hears that you weren't on full tilt and that you finished where you finished. It'd be interesting to see. Like, I love that kind of shit because I'm a fan of the sport. So like
Yeah,
all that, like, bullshit predictions that have, from the ones that have no basis to the ones that are like really well thought out. I just love hearing all that shit. Like, so I'd be keen to hear what he thinks. There was a big Irish contingent of Wadapalooza. I'd say that probably added to the enjoyment as well, didn't it? Like all the lads like Sam and PD and
yeah,
Mickey and like, is that the first? Did I see you say that was the first competition abroad that your husband was at?
yeah. So David hasn't got to see me compete from regionals 2018.
Wow.
Well, a filthy 150. He was a filthy
Yeah.
150. That's at home, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, from like big stage, just kind of regionals 2018. So yeah, it was pretty big for us. Like, and obviously we
Yeah.
literally just got married like 2 weeks before, so it was pretty cool.
It's incredible. Congratulations on that, by the way. That's incredible. Uh, wow. So the last two competitions he's been at, you've podiumed.
So yeah, I've told him he's coming. All being
And
well.
hang on, and you did Lowlands in his presence and won
Yes,
it. Oh fuck,
exactly.
he's obviously you
He's
married the right man.
yeah. So I was like, "You're coming to Amsterdam. Hopefully." I was like, "You're coming to the games. You're going to Texas. You're going to Dubai." I was like, "You're doing the full season with me this year."
Yeah, that's the Wadapalooza money just bought him like a voucher for whatever Aer Lingus or whatever.
That's it.
Okay, so say for the season ahead, then if you have say Rogue, you know, kind of going into it on empty, I suppose, and like I was going to say not an ideal setup, but probably the worst like prep for a competition.
Yeah.
And you did well, like incredibly well, and then Wadapalooza, and then like going off a good training block, like a great training block, and I suppose like reaching the level that you had hoped for or that you predicted for yourself beforehand, and then the Open, like obviously doing really well in that, quarterfinals, not feeling like confident going into it, like to say the week before, and then surpassing your expectations, I suppose. Maybe not from say a month ago, but from a week ago, you surpassed your expectations.
Yeah.
Does that like do those performances build confidence? Like, do they make you feel like, okay, at my worst, I performed really well. At my best, I performed brilliantly. Like, or does it add pressure when it's like, well, fuck, I'm being talked about now in like terms of doing really well at competitions. So now when I go to competitions, I have to fucking do really well. Or do you just disregard everything that's come before and only think about like, okay, semifinals, which one will I go to? And then how can I perform at my best at it? Fuck everyone else that's there. Not even going to look at the leaderboard, just do it.
Yeah, like you just have to like next goal is just to be inside that top 5. Like as much as like I'd love to go and win Lowlands. That is a goal. There's no point lying. But I really don't give a shit. If I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no one's gonna remember who was Lowlands champ, or who placed wherever. As long as I'm inside the top 5 at the end of that weekend, that's all I care about ultimately.
Yeah.
Because the main goal is we're peaking for the games in August. And that's still what we're training for. We will be doing a mini peak for whatever competition we're doing, but we're still keeping our endurance, our twice a week swimming, and we're still keeping that game-esque style training. And just as Joyce calls it, we're just playing the long game. So, yeah, my goal is the CrossFit Games.
So then obviously in an ideal world, he goes to Mickey goes to Lowlands as well then, so you can both have your mini peak at the same time and not have
Well,
one having it.
he'll be peaking for Lowlands, like because
Yeah.
for him, like the goal is
That's his games unless he gets past it, basically. Like, yeah.
essentially. So he'll be going all in for Lowlands. I don't worry, like I'm going all in for Lowlands, like 100% all in.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you can't take anything for granted. You can't even take 1 second for granted against those European girls. But we're still in terms of training, playing the long game. We're still doing our endurance training because I can't neglect that. That was my worst
Yeah.
games last year. I'm still swimming twice a week because I can't neglect that. So I'm just keeping on top of those things, but don't get like I'm not taking it for granted against Europe.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you think, like, would you, obviously as a European female, you I assume the answer is yes, but like, do you think that there should be more spaces for, because like when I saw that like it's so odd. The stuff the CrossFit puts up sometimes just so fucking weird. Like they put up this post about European Open registration and a big like brag about how amazing it is. I assume trying to incite Americans to sign up because like, well, the fucking Europeans won't beat us like next year. But also to be like, look how amazing this is, Europe, blah blah blah, and then be like exact same like allocations last year. Even though last year they had said get more people to sign up and we'll give you more places, and then they
Yeah.
didn't. So almost like, is it frustrating that it's not like 6, 7?
Like in my eyes, you look at that top 60, and me personally, I would say 20 of those girls
Yeah.
are all 100% games athletes and would finish in the top 30 at the CrossFit Games.
Because you could throw a dartboard at the top 20 and be like, yeah, on any given day she could win whichever semi-final, and then throw a dartboard again and be like, yep, on any given day, like depending on what workouts come up, depending what happens, the top 15, top 20 women on the list could win the semi-final. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you can't say that about pretty much any of the other continents. Like, it's crazy, really.
Yeah, like except like Oceania is a pretty
Yeah, it's a raw deal. They have a raw deal.
They've got, like, you have to feel for them, like 3 spots, and yeah, just the caliber of those athletes trying to qualify is that's just grim. But again, it goes on the numbers, but as well, like, I think if there's an ex champ in there, it definitely, or a current champ, I think it should be taken into account and potentially be given another spot. You look at Europe, and every year we've had Annie, which is the previous champ, and Catherine, previous champ, like Briggsy, previous champ, and none of that's ever taken into account. But like there's so many girls coming up. Like, you look at the UK leaderboard, and you're just like, well, she's going to the games this year.
Yeah.
Like Lucy Campbell's the next big thing coming up through for the athletes for sure. So, but even at that, you've got a couple of different of the girls on like the program. That's insane. A few of the girls trains under Kristen Holte. Like, again, the Swedish girls, the Norwegian girls, like, yeah, there's some crazy. Mia's back from her pregnancy and is back PRing already. She did 20 ups unbroken. She hit a PB clean in the quarterfinals. So, like, all these girls have got a taste for the games, whether on a team or as an individual before. So they're all coming in hot this year, ready to go for it. Like,
yeah, no, I think it is. And I remember, like, I heard Brian Friend talk about how, similar to what you're saying about the previous champions, he was like, it should be taken into account where athletes, say, from Europe finished relative to the field at the games the last time. Like, as in, if he was like, if the Europeans are coming over and all propping up the Americans, if they were just all at the bottom, he was like, fair enough. But he was like, they're not. You've got like podiums, you've got top tens, you've got, like, he was like, it doesn't make any sense to have this. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, like you're saying, you either have to take into account the open registration, the quality of athletes. Like, say, like, they should know, like, by looking at the leaderboard, HQ or whatever they're called should know, oh fuck, that's a strong European field. Maybe next year we might need to revisit that, rather than just like waiting to see who turns up in Madison. Like, it is just fucking frustrating.
It is. I think, like, it probably could be a little bit fairer if it wasn't based on like your continent. So, like, obviously, say Briggs, she lives in America now. Like, she lives there full time. She's a resident. She has a house. She's a dog. She's everything. It's like, but she still has to compete inside Europe. She still has to fly home. So, like, right, well, you're based in America now. We'll take that into account. You be in the American region.
Yeah, like, even they have that rule for teams that you have to live within 100 miles of the gym. So, but it's like, for individual, it's like, oh, you can travel home. It's fine.
Yeah, but like, it's insane. Like, Ellie has to go back to Australia, live in Canada. Tia has to go back to Australia. She's living in America. Jamie is living in Europe, but I'm pretty happy that she has to go back, because that's another spot.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jamie. But obviously, like, she has to fly back. Like, that is a huge expense.
I kind of think, if you're paying, at the very least, if you're paying tax wherever you are, like, if you have a business and you're paying tax in whatever country, it's like, you're staying there. Do you know what I mean? You're staying there.
Like, Jamie and Elliot have a home. Like, they live in Cardiff. Like, they're training full time with Andy. Like, they're not just here.
Well, again, we'll leave Jamie out of it. She can go.
Like, we just need more good European girls. But it isn't fair. It isn't fair them having to travel. And I think more athletes would get, like even Sarah, she's living in America, so like you know, you could let Sarah compete in America, we could let Jamie compete here, you know, it all kind of equal out across.
Yeah. It's not as if, once they don't on it, like last year, they all kind of ended up at the same one, and it was a bit lousy. But like, once they don't just like say, okay, you can all just go to this competition or
Yeah.
whatever, do you know, like that. Yeah, that is a better way to do it. Although I'm sure people, if someone was doing a competition in America and saw, say, Tia added to the name, they'd be like, "This is bullshit." Like, I'm sure that's the other side of it as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned the good training block for Wadapalooza, and that you're feeling good now, and you PB'd your lifts there in the other total or whatever in quarterfinals. Like, have these improvements? Is this like incremental changes over? Is this like a compound effect of, or a cumulative effect or whatever, of like all the years are just kind of all paying dividends? Or have you changed your training? Have you changed, like, because I know I wouldn't class you as like an older athlete, but I know like the longer you're into a sport, people tend to tweak things to suit themselves rather than just do, like say weakness work or whatever. You're able to kind of say like, okay, well, all my holes are pretty much closed up here. I can just like tailor my training to suit what I need now. Like to reach success rather than to get to a point where I can then reach success. Like, are you able to? Have you changed? Has your programming changed, or do you think that you reaching the level that you're reaching now is just a compound effect of the time in the sport?
Yeah, I think it's just like the time in the sport. I don't think Jersey's ever gonna let me train, and it just I constantly just feel shite as an athlete every day whenever Jersey's programming for you. It's just he's constantly just making me do endurance. Like today on deload week, I had to do 1,000 Russian step ups because, like, why would you not do 1,000 Russian step
What?
ups?
They're the ones where you stand up and then raise your knee up when you're up. Oh, what a fucking asshole.
Like, sure, why would you not do that on your recovery week? Like, yeah. I don't think, Joyce, no, I don't think I'll
Funny,
ever.
like when you said endurance, I was like, bit of C2 bike maybe. Like that's what I had in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, yeah, like he makes us, yeah, we do so much C2 bike, we do so much like swimming, running. Yeah, I constantly am just on an erg doing zone 2 work. So yeah, I never really like my training. Like I always feel like I'm crap because I'm always working just my weaknesses and the energy system that I do not like to be in, and I do feel tired quite a lot of the time because obviously it's not where my body wants to be.
Yeah.
But then obviously whenever you kind of like recover, come into competitions, you're like, that's why we did.
And then you immediately forget it in the middle of the next training block when you're like, fuck this.
It's great. Everything's great again. But yeah, like you realize like why you've done all that there horrible training whenever
Yeah.
you compete for a full weekend and you feel recovered on a Monday morning versus what you normally feel like after a weekend's training.
And then like, have you, like, is there a ceiling then? Like, do you ever think about that? Like about how, say, your time in the sport, how much you've improved, like the level that you're at? Is there, because like, I'm sure, okay, again, like Rogue is different because you were sick going into it, but like, say, like after Rogue, you're like, well, I'll never top that. And then you go to Wadapalooza, you're like, well, I'll never top that. Like, is it hard to kind of finish something, feel proud of what you've done, and then be like, oh, let's go again now? Like, is there, do you ever worry about like, well, fuck, I don't know if I can do better than that?
No, I definitely don't ever think like that. Like from Rogue, like I was on cloud nine,
Yeah.
finished inside the top 10, just with like basically 6 weeks off training and 2 weeks training leading in. So like I was on cloud nine. And then obviously the goal changed because I was meant to be on team for Wadapalooza. And then I was like, Joyce, we're going individual, we're going all in. because I was like, if I can do that off 2 weeks training, I was like, we can do some damage here.
Mm.
And then obviously after Wadapalooza, Josh says to me, he was like, so I take it this year's not your last year as an individual. I was like, no. I was like, you've got me for another year. So yeah, like I think just every year and every competition you do, you're like, oh, all right, maybe this isn't the best that I've got, and then you just set
Yeah.
new barriers kind of thing.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, so like you had kind of intimated that like the last time we spoke, you were kind of like, oh, we'll see what happens, but like, maybe this might be it or whatever. Um, so like 2023 will happen anyway.
Yes.
And then I assume if halfway to 2023 you're doing well, 2024 might happen and so on. Like, have you got, if this was, say, on paper was supposed to be your last year, and then Wadapalooza and Rogue and everything else kind of changed that, um, would 2023, say after the games, are you just going to start swinging? Like, are you going to be like, fuck it, I'll go to Dubai, I'll go to Rogue, I'll go to what? Let's like make hay and like have a bit of crack if it's my last one, or would you
Yeah,
still be like, no, like Madison is, or wherever it's going to be, is the focus. I'll do maybe Dubai and nothing else or whatever.
this year I'm like I really want to do Texas again. Obviously, if I get an invite,
Yeah.
and I really want to do Dubai. So probably Waterpalooza will be off the cards, because yeah, David says I'm not allowed to travel that much. So the boss has spoken. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think this year I'll do all being well Texas, Rogue if I get the invitation, and Dubai, and then I'll call it from there, and then obviously start to settle in, recover, and think about the 2023. But for next year, if that was potentially my last year, I think I would just absolutely destroy myself and do every competition, and then
Yeah.
finish it out.
Yeah.
I will see. I don't know. Like for me, I think it was I had lost the enjoyment for training. Just from training alone all through COVID, and previous to that, like I'm training by myself from basically 2017 from my
Mm.
move to Josh's programming. So it just kind of really took its toll on me mentally and physically during COVID. So I think now just having a training partner, I've just got a full new lease of life for training, motivation, want to train, enjoyment, and I'm just like I am nowhere near done.
That's amazing. That's so good. What would you look at for, say, like, have you got a goal in mind beyond just making it to the games? Like, have you got a thing in your head of like a number? Like, obviously it's difficult because there's obviously other people competing as well, but like, have you got a placement in your head if you make it to the games, or are you literally just like, I'm not going beyond semifinals planning wise?
Like obviously, like me and Josh have spoke, and every single year that we have done the sport, we've progressed together, and I'm not going to the games and not improving on last year's results. So, yeah, my goal is obviously to get inside that top 10. And I believe that's where I'm capable of being. And yeah, well, that's the goal.
Yeah. Um, oh, it's actually great. Like, so first off, we'll finish up, but like first off, I'm so happy to see you so happy. Like, I have noticed it, and not that I was like, gosh, he's a miserable bitch, like say, like watching your Instagram before this, but like I have noticed that it's like she's really having a good time, like consistently having a good time,
Yeah.
with training and stuff. So I'm absolutely delighted for you. And I think you probably know already, or you've been told already, but I think it's important that you understand how much of an inspiration you are for, like, say I have a daughter and like it's amazing to be able to show her, like when you were at Rogue, she didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. Like, let's call a spade a spade. But like we taught her to say like, go on Emma and we beast and stuff. And she just had so much fun. And she was like doing burpees on the floor, and like, it's something worth noting that, like, and it's not just her, it's like there's girls, boys, men, coaches, athletes, like people just in the community, people who just want to better themselves, like people who are like like in their wildest dreams could never get to the level that you're at, but seeing you do things makes them think, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go and, you know, hang out with the community because they're seeing how much fun you're having doing what you're doing. I just think it's like you're an inspiration to many, like people in this house, my wife, my daughter, and then like countless people. I just think you're an incredible ambassador for the sport, and it's just amazing what you've done. And if every year you can improve, I'm excited to see what you can do for the rest of this year and beyond, because I think you're far from finished. And I just think you should be really proud of everything that you've done, and presumably proud of everything that's about to come as well, because I think this could be your biggest one yet.
I think so too.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll be at both semi-finals, so I'll see you somewhere along the way anyway. But yeah, best of luck with everything.
Meet David and the boys, which could be quite dangerous.
Yeah. The German Shepherds. Yeah. No.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Well, I don't drink, so I'll probably be okay. But
All right, have
yeah.
cupcakes then.
Yeah. Perfect. Look, thanks again for coming on. Great to chat to you. Great to see you. Great to see you looking so happy. And yeah, best of luck with everything. I'm excited to see what you do this year.
Thank you.